On Saturday, the July 1st, 2023, I and two of my Nigerian friends actually attended Keti Koti festival in Amsterdam for the very first time. I mean, the celebration was really beautiful and I did enjoy my time there. Now, this festival commemorates the emancipation of slavery in the Netherlands back in 1863. Now, I did see this video titled Dutch King Apologizes for the Netherlands' Role in Slavery. Now, when I saw it, of course, I did attend the Keti Koti festival just a few days before. I decided to hop on and watch the video and see what he had to say. Then I'm going to round up by playing yet another video by a Nigerian YouTuber called Tayo Aina. And this video is titled, hold on, The Shocking Truth About Nigeria's Slave Trade History. This video really sheds more light about what slavery was like in Nigeria, and it actually provided a very important information that I also wanted you guys to be aware of, or you guys to kind of learn today from this video. And that information is how we Africans as well participated 100% in slavery. So we're not necessarily the victim that we're being portrayed as, in my opinion. Yeah, so we're going to cover all these. I hope you're patient, and I promise you at the end of this video you will definitely learn one or two. So without further ado, let's get on with this video.
De gevolgen daarvan zijn vandaag nog steeds te voelen in racisme in onze samenleving. Vandaag sta ik hier voor u. Als uw koning en als deel van de regering maak ik vandaag deze excuses zelf. Ze worden door mij met hart en ziel intens beleefd. Het onafhankelijk onderzoek waartoe ik heb besloten zal meer licht werpen op de precieze rol van het Huis van Oranje-Nassau in de koloniale geschiedenis en de slavernij. Maar voor het overduidelijke gebrek aan handelen tegen deze misdaad tegen de menselijkheid vraag ik vandaag, op deze dag dat we samen het Nederlands slavernijverleden herdenken, vergiffenis.
Okay guys, so I think the video is pretty straightforward. So he just, stated clearly that he apologizes for the role that his house, that's the Oranje-Nassau household, how they also participated, or the role that they may have played. Now we've watched this video, let's just head over to the comment section and see what people had to say regarding this video. This is what makes CRT in America's schools so controversial and unacceptable. We must teach the truths, however painful. What sadness and astonishment I feel when I read these comments on such a delicate subject that shames many countries even centuries later. We are talking about the distant past, not the recent past or the present. They are all different things. Do not confuse matters. Okay. Another person said, Alexander the Great, he is a brave man to take on this mission. I am happy and will appreciate if there is a check attached. A check, I would assume money, right? Now another person said, I bless and thank you, your honor, my good king. I appreciate your kind words and wonderful support onto this sad and serious matter. It is joyful and remarkable. God is love. Okay. Another person said, as a Spanish black woman, I think not only an apology, but also all European countries that participated in slavery trade and abuse to black and native Indians need to pay reparations. Black people still are discriminated against. Okay. Somebody said, as a British citizen, I wonder when Sir William and his close family will have the courage to apologize for UK's participation in the slave trade. Another person said, slavery has existed since the ancient times, down through the centuries. The Romans enslaved the Greeks, Brits, Gauls. The Greeks enslaved people they defeated in wars. Babylonians enslaved people. Hittites enslaved people. Now another person said, finally, now pay out money, as is the custom and mandate for repairing wrong done to others. Anyway, I'm going to stop reading out the comments right now, and then I'm going to just say a few things about, what I think. As you have read in the comments, this is not the first time that a country has apologized to another country for a crime that was committed. This is also not the first time that another country has refused to apologize to another country for a crime committed. In September 2019, okay, I think the German president at that time actually apologized and expressed deep remorse to the pain and infliction that they caused to Polish people and the rest of Europe during World War II. Okay, now some people may argue, okay, that World War II is a more recent event. So yeah, it's reasonable for an apology to be issued by people who probably were alive as at the time that World War II happened. Now again, when it comes to reparation, I've never really understood it. I was like, why? Why are you demanding to be paid? They don't have so much to say when it comes to like when it comes to should reparations be paid or not. However, here is where I have the most to say. Education, okay? A lot of people have said we should educate the young people in Netherlands about slavery and the role that the Dutch people played in slavery. And in my opinion, if you're going to educate children about slavery and all of that, then maybe it would be nice to actually do an actual research about the history of slavery and educate children rightly. Don't give them your own perception of what slavery looked like and make it look like, oh, the Dutch white men, or that white men came to Nigeria or came to African countries and snatched people and ran away with them, because that was not the case, okay? African countries, people, I'm African, I'm Nigerian, we also have our own participation in slave trade. Okay, that's the reason why I want to play this video by Tayo Aina. Okay, and yeah, let's learn together. Let's go.
Guys, this is heavy, man. And this is what they wear on their neck. All true?
Yes.
When I was young, I used to hear stories about how foreign ships used to come down to the coast of Nigeria and take a lot of us away as slaves, like in millions, to go and work for them overseas under very inhumane conditions. Off the coast of Lagos is a place called Badagry, and this place holds a significant history in the slave trade era. So I want you guys to come along with me, and let's see what happens in Badagry. I have long legs. Badagry is a place where many slaves were kept, and it's also a place that tells the story of how the slave trade started. It was one of the major routes for the transatlantic slave trade. I don't really know a lot about the slave trade, so I decided to go down here and meet up with somebody whose grandparents were alive during the era of the slave trade to tell me the story about how slave trade started in Nigeria. How far now? How are you doing?
I'm cool.
Yeah.
Tayo, right?
Yeah, Tayo.
The compound that we are is known as Brazilian barracoon. And barracoon is a Portuguese word meaning slave cell or storehouse where the slave were being stored. And the compound right now, we have total about 40 rooms in this compound.
Okay, so this is where they kept slaves?
Yes, in the olden days. And that is to say, each room contains 40 slaves. So this is called cowrie shell, as you can see.
Okay.
So those are the kind of currency our forefathers used then.
Yeah, this is what they used to use as means of exchange.
Yes, but when they came, them say they can do business with our forefathers with this kind of money. Right on the wall, these were some of the European products that were used in exchange for the slave when they arrived. Like if the European give you one umbrella, you give them 40 human beings as a slave.
Okay. Is this one of the rooms that
this is
40 people?
Yes, yeah.
40 people?
40, yeah.
Inside here?
Yeah, and we have 40 rooms in the compound.
Wow.
This one is called covling yoke. They use it to join two slaves together. They put this at the ankle or the
Okay, to join two slaves together by the leg.
Now look at that small window tile. Can you see that small window there?
Yeah.
And that's what we provided the ventilation. Imagine 40 able human beings in there for 3 to 4 months. This
40 human beings inside here.
Imagine the odor, the heat. Imagine how many human beings because they will have died here. That's the reason when people come there, tell them you are not here to cash fund, but just to feel the pain the people of the past have felt. And those are the items that I show you on the wall. Each go for 10 slaves. These are 50 human beings. Look at your back there. This bottle, if you look closely at the body, you see it's in 73. Be customized on the body.
Yeah,
that's 10
1873.
human beings standing. So,
Guys, can you imagine the conditions that the slaves had to live in? 40 people in a room that is not even enough for one person. 40 people had to stay inside that room. I can't even begin to imagine how most of them would have felt.
so these are the canon.
Okay.
100, that's 200 slaves.
For this cannons, yeah.
European give you the long one, you give them 100 human beings, another 100. That's
Wow.
What I'm understanding from this video, that the buying of the slaves happened like more or less trade by barter, okay? Not necessarily with currency. So they would rather like take things that they felt were of value from the Europeans, okay? So when the Europeans gave them, for instance, an umbrella, it was equivalent to a total number of slaves. And if you had... Oh my God, it's so... To be honest, guys, this is such an uncomfortable topic for me to discuss. But I felt that it was really important that when people talk about slavery, that they don't talk about it from a gate-to-gate approach, yeah? You don't talk about slavery from the shores of the European countries. That before the slaves actually landed on European land, something actually happened in the African countries. And our forefathers are not as... as excusable as we have seen them to be.
This is the chains they use for the slaves.
You can see, that's why I say you can see how.
Wow.
So
So they put it, yeah, let me try it.
Okay, so just tell the people how you feel.
Wow, this is heavy, man. Fuck, this is heavy. Ouch. It's even drawing my
Should I help
neck.
you?
Guys, this is heavy, man. And this is what they wear on their neck, all true.
Yes, there will be, it should be in a single
Yeah.
file, in a straight row. This is another neck, another neck. It could have been like 100 of them.
Wow, man, guys, this is very heavy. And they wear this all day, every time.
Yeah, while they're taking it away.
And it's even, this thing at the back is so not comfortable.
Yeah. And that's their drinking pot here.
Oh, this is where they drink
And
from.
they don't allow them to use cup, but they tie the hand at the back, they drink water this way.
Wow,
So
everybody goes
yeah,
in.
imagine why the water get below, while struggling, the head can still injure the slave.
Wow. Just putting the chain on my neck, those chains were so heavy and it was hurting my neck, as you can see in the video. And these people had to go through all of this and they had no choice. Separated from their families, separated from everybody that they knew, and sold. As you can imagine how these people were treated. So now we're going to the point of no return. And for us to do that, we have to cross over this lagoon here and get to the other side. That's where we see the point of no return. Point of no return is a point where once slaves get to, they can't come back anymore.
You know, Badagry was founded around 1425
Okay.
by a man called Agbede.
Agbede. Okay.
Yeah. And Agbede means blacks meat in Yorubas. The slave ship, which is called cargo ship,
Okay.
will be awaiting the slave
On the other side.
at the other side of the
That's
beach.
at the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, ocean, yeah. They will come in, get to the town, get the number of slaves that they want.
Okay.
After getting the slaves, they will now walk them in a single file.
Down to the beach.
They'll be in a straight roll.
Wow.
And that heavy chain will be on their necks.
You know, most times when they talk about the slave trade,
Okay.
it's always looking like, okay, it's just only the Europeans that were selling slaves. But it kind of seems like we Nigerians were also selling ourselves as slaves.
Very, very correct. Like me that I'm standing with you.
Yeah.
My forefathers were not slave traders, but we own slaves.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
You understand? How do we own our slave? If you have a money, then
Yeah.
you can move down to the market
Yeah.
and buy your slaves. In
Okay.
the market, you buy slaves. from the
Wow.
market.
So they used to sell slaves like food.
Something
Like
that.
going to Mr.
You
Biggs.
see, this is what really happened. It's of two sides of it.
Okay.
In some part of Congo, even part of Nigeria,
Yeah.
there's some places that they invaded
Okay.
and they took the people away forcefully as a slave.
Okay.
But in some part of it, there's some part whereby the Africans, locals or the chiefs, the warrior, they are also their facilitator. They sell their own people. Because
Okay, guys, so I want you to pause for a moment and actually hear what he said here. He said that his family, or rather his ancestors, were not slave traders. So they didn't trade slaves, but that they owned slaves. So his own ancestors were slave owners as well. And his ancestors were Africans, they were Nigerians, and they were black. So I think it's important to get the narrative complete that white or Europeans were not the only ones who owned slaves. That even back in Africa, that we also owned slaves, and we also had our own brothers or our own people from other communities that we captured and traded amongst ourselves. And what is said here is true. It's not just true for his ancestors, it's actually true for a lot of people's ancestors. I remember in my small village, like I am from the Igbo tribe in Nigeria, so my tribe is different from the tribe that is being described here in this video. This is the Yoruba tribe. But even in the Igbo tribe, we still had people who were slave traders and slave owners. In my village, for instance, we have a set of people that are called Oru. Oru in my tongue means slaves. And this means that these people are actually descendants of the slaves that served in my own village. Okay, so this concept that slavery only happened in Europe and that it's only Europeans that owned slaves is not true. So yeah, let's continue.
So, like now, if your village and my village had a fight,
Yeah.
eventually, if you won the fight, you take the people away as a slave to your own town.
To your own town,
And
just
they'll
like
be
yeah.
working here, you understand?
Just
And
like they
they'll
do in war and
be war,
yeah.
the victim of war, you
Yeah,
understand?
yeah,
So they'll be working for you.
yeah.
But when the Europeans came, they made the trade on ground.
Oh, they made the slave trade. So the slave trade
Yes,
was already happening when they
before
came.
they arrived, yeah.
Wow.
So they met the trade on ground.
Okay.
We been enslaving ourselves before they arrive Africa. We betrayed ourselves, which is still happening up to date.
Up to today, yeah.
You
That's
understand?
where I'm going to with this, yeah.
So if you check record, go and check record, or quote me.
Yeah.
Most of the slave facilitators, their children were the ones still ruling in Africa up to date. Yeah. So you see the same system going now, up till date. The blames are on both sides. The European and the African.
And the Africans.
Facilitators, you understand?
Yeah.
Now, this part of this video actually sends shivers all over my body, to be honest. And it's very sad to actually get to know this. And he mentioned here that when the Europeans came to Africa, that the slave trade was already on ground. So Africans were already capturing each other and selling themselves into slavery. And when the Europeans landed, for I don't know what they were doing in Africa, to be honest, that they met the slave trade on ground. And he mentioned here, it's so sad to know this, that we've been capturing ourselves and enslaving ourselves.
Slave spirit at to a nation
Well.
Let's say the water. To buttress. Now, who dug this well? That's the question. This well was dug by the African chiefs. Why do they have to dug the well? Good. Now, the movement of Africans to America through that, it's known as Middle Passage. They call it Middle Passage. And the name of the slave ship is called cargo ship, which could take like 600, 700. You know, it was the Portuguese that started the trade.
Yeah.
Most of the slaves moved from Africa then, they stood into Lisbon.
Okay.
Lisbon is a very big slave market in Portugal then.
Yeah.
Where everybody get their slave. Then later, along that, the English joined. And the name of the first slave ship is being Jesus of Lubeck, or Good Ship Jesus, owned by King Henry VIII of England then. But later, Queen Elizabeth rented it out to one of slave party called John Hawkins. And they started taking Africans away as a slave to work for them. And most of the town in America, even though the White House underground was built by
black people.
Now, on the slave ship, we could have like 600, 700, 200. It depends the size of the slave ship. And the crew that were taking the slave away, they are no more than probably 25 to 30 people. They were taking like 600 or 300 slaves away. So most often, why taking it away? If the slaves supported the land and it's aggravated, you understand, or they have any opportunity, they'll kill all the crew on board. They will not add the sailor to sail down to any available land. They will not occupy occupied. The only person they will not kill them is the sailor. They will ask the sailor to sail back to any available. I think that's what happened in Guadeloupe and some part, most of the Caribbeans. Those
okay.
Haiti, Bahama,
all those places, yeah.
So now the African chiefs came up with idea. What can they do so that the slave will be less aggressive? That's where they have to do the work. And once the slave walk in a single file without heavy chain, the stopover will be here. They will give them the water to drink. And when they consume the water, we are told that they will lose their memory.
Wow, it will wipe their memory?
But it's not for life, for 3 to 4 months. It will weaken them, not really that you wipe, because if you wipe their memory, why are they taking them as they why, you know they can't.
Sure, they can't do anything. Wow.
So it will weaken them for 3 to 4 months. By then they will have sailed down to Europe or America. They will now regain their strength or back. Memories back.
Wow.
So government call it slave attenuation, some call it memory loss well. But ironically, some say the water is still effective. Some say it's not effective.
So if I drink this water now, I'll forget my memory for the next 4 months.
So 4 months to 4 months. But some say the power is still there. Some say it's still effective. Some say it's not effective. But we don't know how to this because we never see a single source. Okay, let me
try it.
And see if I'm gonna. Although sometimes you see some tourists say they will take it, but when we get here, you know that the water is dirty. That's
yeah.
Discourage them.
Yeah.
So that's the way. Then after giving them the water, they will now move them to the point of no
return. But this well was dug by Africans.
Chiefs, yeah.
The chiefs.
Yeah. Even in Benin.
They also have one too. Okay.
Their own their own is a tree. Like this. We call it tree of memory loss. The women will go around the tree 7 times, the men 9 times, and we are told that they will lose their
memory. Wow.
The attenuation well was dug by African chiefs, okay? They were not dug by Europeans, they were dug by the African chiefs who were the slave traders here then in Africa. Whatever it was that was the content of the water led to the slaves being weakened and led to some form of temporary memory loss for a period of time, let's say like 4 months, so that by the time that the slaves would have recovered or regained consciousness, they had already gotten to the destination. So this was something that they came up with when they found out that some of the slaves that they transported became aggressive and they were killing like the crew members of the ship during the journey.
Wow.
So
this is the point of no return that I was telling you guys about. By the time the slaves get here, this is where they board the ships that take them all the way to Europe and all those other countries where they are being sold.
The monument that used to be here is this 2 straight pole here.
This one, yeah.
There used to be an object on top then.
Okay.
The object symbolize human being, and there's a chain that connects them. We call it arc of the departure.
Arc of departure.
So when they move then, they'll pass under the arc of departure. This is the bottom of the slave ship.
Yeah.
One slave head here. The next one that we follow
is on the head, the leg, head. The
reason that they don't want the means of communication within them.
Oh,
that's why.
Wow.
So another deck. The state government came up with beautiful idea. I used to call it beautiful idea.
Okay.
That they should build another monument in conjunction with the arc of the departure, and that's why they have to control this tunnel. Now when tourists comes here, you go in, probably there's going to be some artwork, pictures
inside,
you go in as if you are going to Europe or America, then you come back to Africa.
So that's how it goes.
Tour of return. Instead of no more point of no
return.
But this project that you are seeing here is getting more than probably getting to 10 years now.
10 years?
Immensely. So we don't know where they're going to
complete it. Wow. It's very troubling to listen to and see all of the things people have been through. And when you get to this place, it's not being preserved. This part of Nigeria's history is not being preserved as it should be. The memory loss well that the African chiefs built is also not being preserved. The monument at the point of no return is practically falling apart. It has been under construction for over 10 years. That's a very long time. I believe that history plays a very important role in the development of a country. If you don't know where you're coming from, how do you know where you're going? If you make mistakes and you don't learn from them, how do we know how to move forward into the future? How do we know how to build the future if we're not keeping records of all the things that have happened in the past? I believe that within a couple years, if these places are not being preserved properly, we would have no history. One of the reasons I'm doing this video is to shine a light on the story of the slave trade in Nigeria. Secondly is to showcase Badagry as one of the most important parts in Nigeria's slave history. I believe Badagry should be preserved not just for ourselves, but also for the people who are coming after us. they also need to know about where they're coming from. They also need to know their history. It was very mind-blowing going back in time to learn about how slave trade was started in Nigeria. That's all I have to share with you. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll definitely see you guys on the next one.
Okay guys, so yeah, you know what, like this video, I remember the first day I watched this video, I had like goosebumps all over my body. The reason being because I am Nigerian, I will be 30 years old today, and I never knew that something like this existed in Badagry. I have heard of Badagry in Lagos, I have been in Lagos, I have lived in Lagos. I never knew that we had monuments from back in the days where we had slave trade. I never knew that we had like wells. I never knew that we had like monuments, that we still had like cannons. I didn't even know that you could still see the umbrella, the bottles, that they were all there in Badagry. I never knew that all these things existed. So imagine how shocked I was. What I'm saying here is this, is that the concept of apologizing for slave history or paying reparations is not as straightforward as people think it to be. The reason being because it's not just a particular race that enslaved another race. No, is that there has been slavery happening in Africa way before the Europeans came, and that both the Europeans and the African leaders at that point, or the African slave traders at that point, participated in this. I want to put it there that the slave trade in itself and colonialism are two different events, because a lot of times people tend to merge them all together, and that's where all these confusions come into play. For instance, Nigeria was colonized by the British sometime in 1884, which was about 20 years after slavery was abolished in most European countries. So I want you to have in mind that these two events occurred at different times in history, especially for many African countries. Do let me know your thoughts about this video from Tayo Aina that I shared. Have you ever heard of this story before? Also, let me know your thoughts about reparations and all of that. Just do let me know. You know what? Just share your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you guys once again for watching. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and please consider subscribing. It will mean so much to me. Thank you guys once again, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!